I'm James, superintendent here at Lamont Bros. We're at our Happy Valley restoration project, and today we're going to be installing our countertops. We're going to tell you why we picked two different types of material to use for our countertops. The first one being, it's called Thinscape from a company named Wilsonart. They make products that are made to look like natural stone, but are not. They're actually a product that's made with resin and paper to create a very dense material that acts the same as a countertop as your natural stones or your quartz. All of the Thinscapes come 1/2 inch. So next to our natural stone, it's gonna be a little bit thinner when it's all said and done. And another difference is you have through color on your stones, but on these, they don't have through color. So that's the biggest differences there. But overall, it's a great product. It cleans very easy. You can virtually use any cleaner in order to clean it. You can use it in wet areas. You can use it with hot pans in a kitchen. It can give you a nice product that isn't as expensive as natural stone or quartz, but it still will achieve the same look and the same functionality at the end of the day. So when we actually look at the Thinscape material, if we have a close-up here, you can actually see where the printed is different than your side material. That's just the nature of the product. But what we do is we actually give it a nice eased edge, similar to any natural stone or quartz that we use for other countertops, so that it's not a sharp edge. Because when we receive this material, there's a very sharp edge, and you can sometimes see from where the factory, where they manufactured the stone, it's not perfectly smooth. So we polish the edges, give it a nice round over. Similar to natural stone, you receive it in slabs. It is extremely dense and also heavy, which is able to give you but very similar durability as other countertop materials. Here at Lamont, we fabricate all of the Thinscape on site. So we take our slab, we then create it to the size of where it's going to be installed. On this one, it is in a laundry room on top of our sink basin in another cabinet. I create a template, and then I'm able to trace it on the stone. I do a rough cut for the size, making sure that we're able to scribe it to the walls to get it nice and tight in case that you don't have a backsplash material that's going to be going on the back. But making sure that it fits, we have the correct overhangs everywhere. And then we go through the process of polishing and getting the final shape. By bringing this in-house, we are then able to buy the material, use our staff, and fabricate everything, which generally shows a cost savings at the end of the day. The reason why we're using Thinscape in a couple of the rooms here is that it is a budget-friendly option compared to a natural stone or quartz. You save a little bit of cost, but you're able to have a very similar look, as well as application for kitchens, laundry rooms, even bathtub vanities. So what we do is very similar to a countertop company coming to install their product. We add adhesive to the top of all of our wood from our cabinets. We then put the piece of stone on top, give it a little shimmy shimmy to make sure that that adhesive sits flat and is getting as much coverage as possible. And then we put it into its final place. The sink is not going to be installed at that point in time. We actually put the sink in after we have dropped our stone in. That way then we can make sure to seal the bottom of the sink. That way then water won't find its way underneath. And then we drop our sink in and you have your final result. On this install, we actually use the same material, the Thinscape, as our backsplash. That's to match the rest of the aesthetic on the job. But you can actually use any other type of material for backsplash, commonly tile, on this material. We just elected to use the Thinscape to give it a nice uniform and continuous look going up the wall. Wilsonart, they have a whole selection on their website and in their catalog that you can request samples from. They come in all types of different looks. This one happens to be a marble type of look, but they have looks that look like almost any quartz or natural stone on their website. The material comes already finished from the factory. It does have a little bit of a texture to it, not very much, it's still very smooth, but comparable to natural stone or quartz that a countertop company would fab, you're not getting the glossy, super smooth finish to the touch. So it is a little bit different there, but it still achieves a very nice result. It's not a huge difference, but we are unable to actually polish this because we don't want to go through the color and expose the raw edge underneath. So now let's go take a look at the Quartz product that we're going to be using in our kitchen. So here in the kitchen, we're going to be using a Quartz product. It is the color Lindo Blanco. It is a 3cm product, which means that it is 1.25 inches thick. And so when it's placed on, it'll give it a nice look, very grand finish. The difference between Quartz and Thinscape is that this product, you're having through color, which on the Thinscape you don't, and you also can polish it on all edges to give it an extremely smooth look, very similar to glass. This product is very heavy. I would not suggest moving this by yourself, but with probably a friend. We have a countertop company coming to install this, and they use a variety of things such as suction cups or other grippy materials that are able to give them a good grip due to the weight. But that's also why we see the amount of prep that we've done here with our brackets, making sure that the island and the cabinets are all anchored down. So once we put that heavy material on, we don't have any movement of the cabinets. So for this particular install, they need to move all the material from whatever vehicle they arrive in, bringing it into site, making sure that the material sits flat. We will have a seam here, which will need to be addressed. They use a compound of epoxy and adhesive to bring that together and mix up a color that looks very similar to your stone. So reasons that you might go between for using Quartz versus natural stone. Quartz generally doesn't have to be sealed. You have less maintenance with the product, whereas a natural stone, that gives you a very beautiful look. Both of them do, but the natural stone needs to be sealed. You'll see sometimes grease that comes off from cooking will sometimes find its way into the material and discolor it. Sometimes marble is really notorious for turning yellow. The Quartz material, it's a little bit easier for the maintenance side of things and still gives you a very comparable look to a natural stone. I mean, they will last a long time until it breaks. So depending on how abusive you are to your material, that will really depend on how long it lasts. For the Quartz, one of the biggest difference to the Thinscape is not only is it having the through color and it can be polished on all sides, it also gives you a thicker material depending if you go with, like we are, 3cm. It will be thicker, generally doesn't need to be supported as often. It also gives you a great look to your kitchen with the same amount of maintenance in that through color that looks very good over time. So when considering what countertop to use, there are different thicknesses of countertop. Some of the most common ones are 2cm and 3cm. Here we have a 3cm. It's just about 1.25 inches thick, where you don't have to use as much support as if you were to choose a 2cm slab. The 2cm is just about 3/4 inch, but you need to add extra bracing underneath it. Generally, you see 1/2 inch plywood used to make sure that that stone doesn't have any flex in it, which then would lead to breaking. So the 3cm option, there's less support needed for it. You can span a little bit further, and it gives you a thicker look when it's all said and done.